Jazzfans. Yes, howdy. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you very much for stopping by this lovingly prepared piece of content that I have made just for you. Really, it's just one man's thoughts and opinions on the Battle Royale scene in terms of gaming and where I think perhaps it might be going, especially when you have two of the biggest names at the helm, Warzone and the upcoming Battlefield 6. So what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to take each of these titles, break them down, pros and cons. I will then discuss what I think is making this so controversial, and then to finish, again, my opinion on where I see the future of this going, which could be very, very interesting. So if you would indulge, let's begin. But first, if you like what I'm about to put down, and perhaps you want to see more of this stuff from little old me, please do me proud, hit that thumbs up, and if you haven't already, hit the sub button. We can stay in touch, as well as that comment box down below. Any points that I make, you might agree with, you might not agree with. Let me know how you see this. I'm always interested to listen to you guys. So, without any further ado, Warzone first. The pros. It's fast-paced accessibility. It's respawn mechanic like the gulag and the loadout drops. You know, it makes it really easy to jump back into the fight, keeping the matches alive, keeping them fresh, and to be fair, less punishing. Polished gunplay as well. Arguably polished gunplay. You know, its signature snappy shooting and weapon feel have been top tier for I don't know how long now. Even casual players are finding it really easy to get into the groove, you know. Arguably, the seasonal content, you know, events and seasons and blah blah blah. It keeps things fresh, keeps the chaos fun and entertaining, and again, arguably a good way. Now, it's cons. The game lacks a lot of depth. Yeah, I mean, it's like, where's the depth, bro? You know, the loadout drops can make looting feel irrelevant, which is true. Why need the loadout drop? And or why do you need all these chests lying about the map if you're getting either or? What's the point? It doesn't make the game feel as tense as it should. So take one of them away, really. You know, this is something that other Battle Royale games thrive on. So why isn't Warzone? Now, you guys will agree with this one. Map personality. Verdansk has been and is probably only going to be Warzone's best go-to map. Nothing else will ever come close, I don't think, because they lack flair. The people who design these clearly have no imagination, or they just can't be bothered anymore. You know, the uniqueness. For example, Apex Legends. Not a game that I play, but that's got a lot of variety, that's got a lot of interest in its environments, so why doesn't Warzone? Now, as I said, with its pros, you know, the skins and the seasonal content and the da-da-da, which keep it fresh, and it does. The microtransaction aspect, the monetization part really sucks. They charge so much for so little when you think about it, which is a shame. You know, if they followed the footsteps of, say, is it Larian Games, Baldur's Gate, give the player everything they need right at the start and do not charge them a penny more, perhaps. Now we will move on to the upcoming competitor, Battlefield 6. Now, early impressions, early buzz that's been going around, you've probably seen all over YouTube, etc. It's getting a really good response right now. Everything is looking green for Battlefield. Arguably, it's a return to form. These guys have been out of the game for quite a while now, so to come back with something like this is a great idea. You know, it's spiritual successors, Battlefield 3 and 4, while, you know, the classic class system, destructible environments, and the 64-player aside chaos, you know, they're bringing that all back with a brand new face, which is lovely. Tactical destruction being another massive aspect. You can breach walls, collapse buildings, use terrain to your advantage, all the stuff we've seen before. They're bringing it back with a fresh new face, a fresh new look, if you will. It's bringing back some real tactical flair again, if you think. You know, it's definitely making things look more gritty, interesting, edgy, which is great. It's great. And as I said right at the start, community hype. Everybody, everywhere is talking about Battlefield and how potentially this is a COD killer. Arguably. It's an interesting time, but the facts, the stats don't lie. You know, 80% of even the most hardcore loyal COD fans are starting to make the jump. They're starting to choose Battlefield 6, even over Black Ops 7 that hasn't even dropped yet. That's nuts. So with some of the good stuff that I've said, here's what I would say the cons are. It is a safe design approach again. It is, you know, while it looks polished and tasty and brand new and well redefined, it's not groundbreaking, it's not brand new, there's nothing new really. You know, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of players out there that were expecting a bit more innovation. Really what they've just done is Battlefield, but they've done it right. Good thing, bad thing? Let me know. The weapon freedom versus the class identity. You know, as I understand, you can equip any weapon to any class, which really undermines what I remember Battlefield used to be. You know, you would have your sniper or your marksman, you would have your engineer, you would have your medic, you would have your assault. But now, if everything's interchangeable, it kind of distracts, it kind of takes away that tactical role, that sort of team element, you know. It makes it just feel like a different version of Warzone or a different version of a Battle Royale game. Now, while I did mention that, you know, for example, the tactical destruction, you know, just about everything round about you can be used to your advantage and can be destroyed also. There is a lot of inconsistency when it comes to the destruction as well. Not all surfaces are destructible, and it's not always clear what can and cannot be blown up. So if you want to say the blow stuff up mentality that Battlefield has, it might have some caveats. It might not be as true as it is. So now coming to what I think makes these two controversial. First point, you know, I would say immersion over spectacle. Battlefield fans, you know, they crave the reality, they crave the realism that comes with a war scene like this. You know, they want that grit, they want that depth, they want to feel like they are that soldier in that war at that moment. So when they try to repeat the feat, as in do what Warzone has done, you know, they're introducing Christmas skins and all sorts of irrelevant material, it definitely sparked a lot of backlash, and it really detracted from that warlike tone that Battlefield brings. Warzone, on the other hand, you would argue is like watching a blockbuster movie. It thrives on the spectacle and the glitz and the loud noises and explosions and colourful skins and the crossover events and, you know, the chaos that kind of environment is. But that being said, it's led to a lot of players feeling like it's now becoming stale, samey, and like Fortnite. You know, Call of Duty, from my memory, from your memory, it's always a classic war game, like World War II, and all the grit, all the realism. But when you play something like Warzone, it's not a war game, it's not classic, it's just buy a colourful skin and look fancy. You would argue the turf war here is very controversial. As you guys know, Battlefield is introducing a Battle Royale into its mix, and this, I believe, is stirring the pot. This is causing the controversy. Leaks are suggesting that there's going to be a plethora of maps, styles, tropical environments, metro systems, even down to the vehicles, something like a golf cart. There's all sorts coming. Arguably, it could be a fresh new look, and it has the potential to lure Warzone players away if they're looking for something new. I mean, there is merit here, there is potential that Warzone is now in a lot of trouble if something like this is introduced. There's going to be a lot of competition, but this is what Warzone and Activision have needed for so long. There has been no other competitor close enough, so this is going to be interesting, folks. What else is making it controversial? Community fatigue, loyalty shifts, as well as, you know, monetization and the perceived lack of innovation that comes from that title. You know, it's kind of leaving a lot of players in the dark. So the controversy isn't just about who or what is better, it's about what kind of experience is being given to folk like you, folk like me, the people who enjoy this sort of stuff. You know, whether these franchises are staying true to their roots or they're mainstreaming and trying to reach for the next brass ring, you know. But for a streamer like me, for a content creator like me, the tension is gold. It helps craft a segment that dives into the clash with satire, storytelling, or even mock. It's interesting. So now on to what I believe the future looks like for the Battle Royale scene when it comes to at least these two games, you know, leading the way. Where do we lie? I don't say we lie in one place, but imagine it like this. The Battle Royale scene is becoming like a canvas. It's becoming its own base. It's not a formula. It's for everybody. As I've said, it's for me, it's for you, it's for him, for her. As I've said, it blends or can blend storytelling, satire. It could trigger emotional responses. You know, your wins, your losses, your ups, your downs. You know, it can do all sorts. It's absolutely a playground waiting to be reshaped by whoever has got the balls to make it new and exciting and innovative. Add something new to this idea and you are assured for the first place. The genre is a new frontier, you could argue. You know, games like Fate Trigger are blending Battle Royale with hero shooter mechanics, so we could expect more hybrids in the Battle Royale scene, even a narrative driven, survival driven Battle Royale scene. There's a lot of potential for something more than just a loot box, drop, survive, win. You know, the strategy, expression, evolution, there's a lot of potential. Accessibility and streamlined play. New titles, you know, they're ditching the overly complex 20 different buttons to access the one thing, the auto loot and the simplified gear upgrades. You know, they're making it more simple. They're giving you straightforward, here it is, use this, win. It's, you know, again, it's getting good. It's getting good. And by that extension, you know, we're now lowering the bar for entry. You know, this is making Battle Royale games more entertaining, more engaging, more accessible to a casual player. Somebody who isn't a diehard, hardcore, Bobby Puff-esque gamer. Big shout out Bobby Puff, by the way, I love that man. What a creator, what a guy. You know, the respawn and redemption mechanics, multiple lives and team-based revives becoming more common, softening the harsh siege-like thing, you know, one life you're out kind of idea, which is really getting old. So, and by that, you know, it makes the matches more engaging, more longer. It gives content creators a chance to showcase clutches, wins, comebacks, gives more entertaining stuff for you guys to watch, and let's just sub to my channel. Now, you would hope that these big AAA platform game devs are listening to their communities, because this is what's driving the content. These people are shouting at these companies, we need this, we need that, we want this, we want that. You can only hope that these guys are saying, do you know what, calm down, we hear you, we're going to give you. That's all you can hope. You know, the Battle Royale scene, when it leans to seasonal events, map changes and low drops, you could argue that it's keeping players, you know, emotionally linked to the game, to the idea. You know, for example, think Fortnite or Warzone's nukes. Expect more spectacle, expect more story, and more reason to watch streamers causing chaos. Now, you could argue this as well. Indie innovators, you know, there's a lot of smaller companies out there that are really pushing the boundaries when it comes to new concepts and innovative ideas and new avenues to push this scene. You know, you could argue like Mini Royale, Toy Soldiers and Grit Wild West shootouts, ideas, you know, just stuff like that. So while smaller things like that, you know, smaller indie creators might not dominate the Twitch charts, they are there and they do offer niche concepts that a lot of people might not see, maybe, but there's a big canvas for identity out there. So with all of that being said, that was a very interesting breakdown of what I was musing when it comes to the Battle Royale scene, and especially, you know, the two biggest games that are leading this charge right now. And with all of that being said, what I'd like to know, who are you rooting for? Are you still a diehard, loyal Warzone Call of Duty fan, or are you branching out to Battlefield? Are you looking for something new? Or have you always been a loyal Battlefield fan? Let it in the comments, I would love to know.